According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, "Spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him." If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, "He eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it." This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC.
Diddy's world is crumbling from the inside out. Reports say the mogul completely lost it in his jail cell, begging guards to take him to the hospital for observation. But they refused. According to one insider who spoke with Daily Mail, Diddy had a full-blown meltdown during the holidays, calling the experience a nightmare. The source claimed Diddy eventually tried to calm himself down using the same meditation tricks he's been practicing behind bars. It took him hours of deep breathing and focus to shake off the panic, but he managed to pull himself together. Barely. This ain't the first time people question Diddy's mental state either. When he first got locked up at MDC, he was immediately placed on suicide watch. The Department of Justice calls that supervisory precautions for inmates at risk, meaning guards were literally checking on him around the clock. After a while, they moved him into a protected unit, but those first few weeks were rough. Now he's stuck in general population, the danger zone where the real inmates stay, and that's where everything seems to have fallen apart again. Insiders claim Diddy's dark past is finally catching up to him. Word is spreading across the prison that he's not just another inmate, he's the man at the center of some of the most twisted Hollywood secrets. Several prisoners have started filing lawsuits and sharing wild testimonies about what they say Diddy did to them. One of the most disturbing claims comes from a man named Jonathan I.
When he first arrived, he was on suicide watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's suicide watch was only temporary, though. He was housed in a special protective unit of the jail after that for the first few weeks of his stay. But Diddy right now is in Gen Pop, meaning general population, the place where majority of the inmates stay. And that's where he apparently had
who was once arrested after a 2018 shooting at Trump's Doral golf course in Miami. Jonathan told investigators that Diddy held him as a sex slave and said the so-called Hollywood gay mafia forced him to commit crimes for Diddy's benefit. That's a heavy accusation, and it didn't stop there. Another inmate, Cardello Smith, is also accusing Diddy of serious abuse. Cardell, who's already serving time for another charge, claims Diddy framed him. He says he even filed a $100 million lawsuit against Diddy, though Diddy's legal team is trying to get the whole case thrown out. Cardell's story is shocking. He says back in 1997, while working as a bartender at a Holiday Inn in Detroit, Diddy assaulted him and even recorded it. The wildest part, he says Diddy showed the footage to Jennifer Lopez, who was dating him around that time. According to court papers, Cardell wrote that Jennifer Lynn Lopez, also known as J-Lo and Jenny from the Block, was a material witness to the alleged recording. He claims she was aware the tape existed and did nothing. He even says she was questioned by a New York detective named Derek Palmer, and that she confirmed knowing about the video. Cardell insists J-Lo knew everything and still stayed silent, and he wants Detective Palmer called to testify in court. Diddy's lawyers are trying hard to dismiss the case, but Cardell fired back with a massive 200-page response filled with detailed arguments and legal references. He's not backing down. And here's where it gets darker. Cardell's lawsuit doesn't just talk about the assault. It claims Diddy threatened his life to keep him quiet.
Essentially, it could be a Me Too type situation where other victims come forward. Obviously, we saw that with Diddy and Cassie Ventura. So the coming days and weeks are really going to be telling. And Tony Busby says he has more than 100, maybe up to 300 victims he's representing. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of them also name Jay-Z.
And Nima, if such a high-profile name like Jay-Z has come out, could more celebrity names be tied to these lawsuits? What do you think we can expect?
No question. This may just be the first celebrity domino, and Jay-Z was unmasked as celebrity A, but let's not forget there's a celebrity B in that same lawsuit that allegedly witnessed the sexual assault, a female celebrity. And there was someone who went on CNN earlier this week and said that his sexual assault was witnessed by another celebrity as well. So I think we're going to see more celebrity names identified very soon.
All right, Nima Rani, thank you so much for joining us. As you said, this is one that has entered the court of public opinion. It's nice to have your actual...
Cardell says Diddy used threats of murder to stop him from ever going to the cops or filing a report. The only reason he came forward now, he says, is because Homeland Security raided Diddy's properties and he finally felt safe enough to speak. He even alleges Diddy's people inside prison have threatened him and his family, trying to scare him into silence again. Cardell says he waited years out of fear, and that's why the court shouldn't dismiss his case, even if the statute of limitations is old. This whole situation has blown up into a nightmare for Diddy. Every week seems to bring a new lawsuit or allegation. He's not just fighting one or two cases anymore. It's turning into a flood of accusations. And now the whispers in the industry are getting louder. People are saying this might be the end of the bad boy era for good. Diddy's once powerful image as the unstoppable mogul has been shattered. Sources close to him claim he's panicking about his future and even more afraid of what's waiting for him inside those walls. Reportedly, he's terrified of being attacked in prison, and some insiders claim he's already been threatened by other inmates. They say some of the lifers in there see targeting Diddy as a way to gain street cred. Imagine that. The man who once ruled the charts now watching his back every second just to survive. To make matters worse, Diddy's mental breakdowns aren't helping his case. Guards say he walks the halls looking lost, paranoid, and nervous, constantly muttering to himself. Sources claim he offered a whopping $50 million bail deal, co-signed by his mother, sister, and 3 sons. But the judge straight up refused. The proposal included home detention, passport surrender, and Miami property as collateral, but prosecutors said no way. They told the court that Diddy and his crew had already tried to tamper with witnesses last year, so they don't trust him one bit. The government said the evidence was too strong, the risk too high, so now Diddy's stuck exactly where he is.
He's here. You didn't have to track him down. He's got a real defense here. He's doing everything right, at least right now.
He's reportedly terrified of being moved deeper into general population, knowing his celebrity status paints a giant target on his back. Former friends even say Diddy doesn't have the survival skills to handle prison life, that the man who once partied with presidents can't handle the harsh rules of the inside. Some claim he's so desperate and paranoid, he might do something drastic just to escape the pressure. From meditation to panic attacks to begging guards for help, it's a long fall for someone who used to call himself King of New York. Now he's just inmate number in a system that doesn't care who you were before. Now things are getting even wilder. Reports say Diddy's time behind bars isn't just a personal meltdown, it's triggering a massive legal storm that's pulling other major names into the mix. Jay-Z, Jennifer Lopez, and even Diddy's former business partners are suddenly being dragged into headlines they can't escape. Insiders claim Diddy's old connections in the industry are starting to panic, scared that he might start talking to save himself.
What do you take away about who has the stronger argument in terms of bail?
Well, I think his counsel has done the best they possibly can. I think bringing him there voluntarily is very smart, starts them out on the right foot. But I think the last thing that you just mentioned, the interfering with witnesses.
That's the allegation, yeah.
Yeah, if that's true, or I should say, if there's real indicia that happened, I think that might tip the scales in favor of not letting him out pending trial, because I think, and you know this, I think judges take an extraordinarily dim view of that, and that might be the factor that tips the scale against him. But I think as far as a tactic, I think it was very smart to do what they did and to say, look, you know, he's here. You didn't have to track him down. He's got a real defense here. He's doing everything right, at least right now. I'm not sure it's going to be enough at the end of the day.
Word is he's terrified, isolated, and losing grip on reality. But what's coming next might be even worse. According to multiple reports, Diddy's lawyers made a bold move, offering that enormous $50 million bail package backed by family and property, but prosecutors flat out refused. They said the risk was way too high because there's solid evidence that Diddy and his team allegedly tried to mess with witnesses in the past. Some even claim they use money, threats, and influence to keep people quiet. Judges aren't playing with him anymore. With all these serious charges, racketeering, sex trafficking, witness tampering, the government's case is stacking up fast. And while Diddy's lawyers are fighting tooth and nail, insiders say prosecutors have witness statements, videos, and testimony that could destroy his defense.
From the consequences, and I don't feel bad for him at all. Because people was trying to talk to him. People was trying to tell him. You couldn't pull him by the coat and let him know anything. You understand? They messed up the game, brother. When he put that shit out with them, money, power, respect, it ain't never been like that. It ain't never been like that. You got your respect in the street that gave you your power, that brought you your money. Totally different thing. He let that money, power, and respect go to his head, but he had it ass backwards. So do I care what happened? Nah. He got enough money to buy his way out of this. So we think.
So when you look at that video of him pacing around and he's looking worried, and you knowing him, do you think it's possible that he might commit suicide?
When you're a narcissist, there's always a possibility because you're suffering. But I don't think that he could see himself in a cage. I don't think he could see himself behind those bars in those type of situations. It's too many real dudes that dislike him. But then again, there's a lot of real dudes that need help. And him being behind bars.
Behind those prison walls, Diddy's reality is brutal. He's no longer the boss calling shots. He's a target. Reports from MDC suggest that other inmates have already started circling, whispering his name, plotting ways to make their mark. For prisoners doing life, attacking someone like Diddy could mean instant fame inside. That's got him constantly looking over his shoulder, barely sleeping and clinging to his meditation routines just to stay calm. Some even say he's been offered protection deals by certain inmates in exchange for money or favors. But as time passes, the walls are closing in tighter. Diddy can't buy loyalty in prison. His reputation outside those bars is falling apart too. Major brands have quietly cut ties, his business empire is freezing up, and Hollywood elites are suddenly pretending they never knew him. Word is even Jay-Z is keeping his distance because the heat is creeping his way too.
But you knowing Diddy personally, do you think it's possible he might take his life?
It takes a certain individual to prepare himself to do a lot of years in jail. From the lifestyle that he had, I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he'd be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He'd do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bruh. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial.
Insiders claim that Jay-Z's name came up in new court documents after Diddy's legal team filed motions demanding to know the identity of certain witnesses. The judge refused, but it got messy fast. Another case popped up in Texas involving Jay-Z's company, Roc Nation, and one of his lawyers, Marcy Croft. According to a 13-page lawsuit, Roc Nation and its attorneys are being accused of shady tactics. pretending to be government agents, flashing fake badges, and offering people up to $10,000 to file bogus lawsuits against another law firm. The man behind that lawsuit, Jose Maldonado, says Jay-Z's legal squad tried to manipulate him into flipping sides. He claims these so-called agents went as far as showing up at his dad's house pretending to be from the state. That's wild. When he realized something wasn't right, he reached out to the Busby law firm, who are now suing Roc Nation and Croft's team for civil conspiracy. They allege Roc Nation financed this entire operation to silence their firm. Busby's lawyer told the Houston Chronicle that these people went all over the country illegally contacting our clients, trying to pay them to sue us. And he said he won't back down until the truth comes out. But Marcy Croft hit back fast. She fired off her own statement saying Busby's claim reeks of desperation and she isn't scared. She said, "For over 25 years, I've fought corruption and fraud. He should know I don't back down. Truth and justice are on my side."
News right now, Larry. I am just getting word. People magazine says it's got a source on the inside that tells them that P. Diddy's on suicide watch tonight. Do your sources confer the same information? Are they saying it was possible?
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the SHU have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on suicide watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an overnight guest. When they called his bond hearing, now they checked him into the system, and reality has hit him. And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on suicide watch. Another error that I guess some warden told you this. There are sentenced inmates there. They're called cadre inmates. They don't have to be white collar inmates, but they're doing maintenance on the building. And the problem why there's a lot of violence there, they have housing units. And they're mixing bank robbers, drug dealers, rapists with white collar people. And this is why Diddy, he can't go into a regular housing unit because somebody will take him out for sure. Somebody's gonna get a lot of street credibility out of this. People that are doing substantial time that know they're never getting out, they'll just kill a guy. No questions asked.
You think that they'd suck up to him because he's got a lot of money, and if he ever does get the commissary options, he would be able to help them.
Some people do because
I got to wrap it real quick.
Okay, some people do think that Diddy can help him, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshals inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week, 6 Marshals to do it.
The whole thing is turning into a full-blown legal street fight between two powerful law firms, with Jay-Z's name right in the middle of it. Former prosecutor Nima Romani even warned the press, saying this could just be the beginning. He predicts that if Diddy starts cooperating, we might see politicians, world leaders, and even royalty dragged into the scandal. That's insane, but when you look at how deep these networks go, nothing sounds impossible anymore. Meanwhile, new details keep leaking about what investigators actually found when they raided Diddy's mansion. Everyone focused on the baby oil memes, but officials from Homeland Security reportedly uncovered something much darker. Hidden rooms, security footage, and organized files suggesting systematic exploitation. Some insiders are saying this operation could make Epstein's network look small in comparison. And that's why Homeland Security is still involved, because what they found wasn't just luxury gone wild, it was evidence of something criminal and deeply disturbing. And just when people thought it couldn't get worse, more victims started coming forward. One lawsuit now accuses Diddy of raping 3 men, 2 of whom actually worked for him. Their statements describe horrific assaults, not driven by attraction, but by power, by domination. They say Diddy wanted to break them and prove he could own anyone around him. These claims are now part of a growing pile of federal investigations that could take years to unravel. But the damage to Diddy's legacy, that's already done. The music industry is watching all this unfold with pure fear. People who used to celebrate him are suddenly deleting old photos, scrubbing posts, and staying silent. It's like everyone's waiting to see if Diddy will talk or take the fall alone. The man who once threw million-dollar parties with the biggest names in entertainment is now sitting in a cold cell, meditating just to keep from breaking down. He's losing control of his empire, his reputation, and maybe his mind. What's wild is that these lawsuits don't just target Diddy. They're pulling in everyone who ever stood close to him. The pressure on people like Jay-Z and Jennifer Lopez is real because these names keep popping up in court filings and testimonies. Whether they were witnesses, business partners, or just connected by history, it's clear the fallout is spreading fast. The whole bad boy legacy that once defined a generation is turning into one of the darkest sagas hip-hop's ever seen. And the worst part, the story's not slowing down, it's only getting bigger every single day. At this point, it's clear, Diddy's empire is collapsing right before everyone's eyes. What started as whispers and rumors has exploded into a full-blown Hollywood scandal that's rocking the entertainment world. Every new report, every leaked document, and every witness that steps forward adds another nail to his reputation. Even those who once called him family are now ducking interviews and staying far away.
P. Diddy's gotten a hall pass. He's actually created his own kingdom where he makes his own rules, and you got to follow his rules or you get penalized. And guess what, Laura? He's now in a federal penitentiary, and for the first time in his life, he's facing his own fate at the hands of somebody else. And I will tell you, Laura, I've done federal cases, that's not the place you want to be in federal court. 90% of federal criminal indictments brought down are pled out, right? A plea deal is brought. And of the only 10% left, 90% of those defendants that go to trial, they lose. So he is looking at a daunting uphill battle to fight these horrible charges.
Now, Brian, one of the DHS agents involved in this raid on his Miami mansion described what he saw inside the house, saying that, in my opinion, he's as bad as Epstein. These women are young, either barely legal or barely illegal. Brian, this sounds like he was a monster.
Yeah, Laura, I will tell you that this indictment was very detailed, by the way, too. Your viewers should know there were over 300 subpoenas served, over 50 witnesses interviewed. Why is that important? Because the federal prosecutors aren't going to be leveling an indictment like this unless they have ammunition and they have cause to bring it. And the core issue at this case, which the feds have to prove, which it's looking like they can, is that P. Diddy essentially controlled these women, that he threatened them with stopping the money that he was paying them, that he spiked their drinks with drugs. That's been alleged in the indictment. And that he basically told them, I'm going to ruin your life unless you engage in these freak-offs. And that's really what the prosecutors got to prove. And if you've got some victims coming forward to talk about that, you've got financial records that prove that, travel itinerary that proves that, P. Diddy has very little defense. And I got to tell you, Laura, if this guy wants to fight these charges, he's going to have to step up and walk into a courtroom and talk about it. If he doesn't testify in this case, he is dead on arrival.
Well, who else is on these tapes? I mean, will the tapes ever see the light of day? I mean, that's what everybody's talking about. Who else is there? It's like with the Epstein, his pleasure island. Who else? Who went? Who was there? What's the manifest? But Brian, chances 1 being least likely, 10 being most likely. Will we learn of other celebrities that were at these freak-offs?
Yeah, I think you've got an 8 or a 9 for a likelihood you're going to hear about it. Why? Because there are going to be more indictments coming down, Laura. That's an important point here, because he's being charged with racketeering and conspiracy. You're going to have, well, let's start on the inner circle. You're going to have former bodyguards. You're going to possibly have former musicians that he was with. You've got personal assistants that are going to be, they're already talking about this. Some of those are likely to be charged. And then guess what? If you've got some music moguls that are sending women over to these alleged freak-offs, then you've got some top people that are going to start crumbling too, because they're all part of what's called these cases. And why didn't you believe in others that you were presented with?
Well, the thing with a abuse abuser, a sexual abuser, is they follow a pattern. They fall to type, and you become very clear on what that pattern is, particularly a serial sexual abuser. And these cases were all identical in the facts, identical in the story. It was beginning, middle, conclusion.
They know each other?
Boom. None of them knew each other.
Did you have them meet?
No.
Did you have them coordinate stories?
No, no.
Do you think they had any contact with each other before they came to you?
Absolutely not.
And when you were talking to them, well, first, the ones that you didn't take, why not?
Stories didn't make sense. Stories didn't fit the pattern. Stories were not credible. I mean, this is my 30th year as a lawyer. I've tried over 100 cases. I can assess whether somebody's story is credible. And if I don't believe it, I'm not going to put my name on a pleading, sign it, and file it in court. I'm not doing that. And that's what I did with the 60 plus cases that I rejected.
And this is not really your area of expertise. If people look you up, celebrity lawsuits is not really where you make your bones. Why this?
Well, I was involved in the Weinstein litigation. Right. I was involved in the Paducah litigation. I was involved in the Hayden litigation. Why did I do this? I do this because it's important. I think it's important for people to be heard, have their chance to get the power back. Because sexual abuse, sexual assault is about one thing: taking power, humiliating, demeaning a person and a victim. It has nothing to do with sex. And so I think it's important. I think it's important to get the word out. I think it's important for men to feel, hey, look, I can come out and be heard just like a woman could.
And the defense that, look, they knew what they were getting into. These are regrets. They went there, they partied, and now they see a pocket.
No, I don't think so. One, my client
was... Were they gay men?
One was bisexual, the other ones were not. And they were going there. The client was bisexual, worked for Diddy. Diddy owed him money for doing errands for him and being his step-and-fetch, for lack of a better word. And I think it was a power move. It was a clear power move because this guy had the nerve to come to him and say, you owe me money. And so Diddy said, come on to the Intercontinental Hotel. He gives him the drug, knocks him out, sodomizes him. And I won't use the term that my client used, but he said he tried to turn me into his B word. And I think it was a clear power move on each and every occasion. I think the ones that took place in the Park Hyatt, that wasn't partying. My client met him at a nightclub in the city here with a music producer. He didn't think he was getting into that. The man who was raped in the Hamptons, he thought he was going to a white party. Who wouldn't want to go to a white party? I would have gone to a white party back in the day. I wouldn't go now. But they went there innocently, and this is what happened to them.
I never went. I appreciate you very much.
His legal team is fighting dozens of battles at once, trying to clean up years of alleged cover-ups, threats, and payoffs. But insiders say no amount of money or meditation is saving Diddy this time. He's facing a mountain of lawsuits, multiple federal investigations, and the type of allegations that could destroy everything he's built for good. Prison insiders are painting a scary picture of his reality right now. Word is Diddy's completely broken inside, losing weight, pacing his cell, mumbling to himself, and asking guards for protection almost daily. The fame that once made him untouchable now makes him the biggest target in the building. Some inmates reportedly call him Hollywood Boy, mocking him whenever he walks past. They say he rarely sleeps, constantly fears being attacked, and refuses to eat meals prepared by others. The mental pressure is heavy, and people close to him say he's terrified of what's coming next, especially if more victims keep coming forward. And those victims, they're not stopping. After the first few lawsuits dropped, it was like a floodgate opened. Now multiple people are stepping up with new stories, each one darker than the last. Some say Diddy manipulated them with money and power. Others claim he used drugs and threats to keep control. The accusations range from emotional abuse to serious criminal acts. Each new lawsuit adds more heat, and investigators seem to be treating every word seriously this time. The rumor inside the industry is that federal prosecutors already have a secret list of people they're looking into, names that could shake music, fashion, and even politics if exposed. One major factor that has fans talking is the possible connection between Diddy's downfall and others in his circle. Many believe that if Diddy decides to cooperate, he could take down half of Hollywood with him. From artists and producers to executives and politicians, nobody wants to be next. Former associates are allegedly panicking, deleting files, cleaning out accounts, and reaching out to lawyers just in case their names appear in the paperwork. One insider even claimed, If Diddy starts talking, it's over for a lot of people. That's how deep this situation goes. Meanwhile, rumors say that Diddy's team tried to negotiate a plea deal behind the scenes, something to lessen the time if he talks, but prosecutors weren't interested. They believe he's still hiding too much. Officials from Homeland Security and the FBI are still running through his seized footage, emails, and private servers, and reports claim they found disturbing video archives that trace back decades. Some investigators even said off-record that Diddy's operations were way more organized and secretive than anyone expected. That's why Homeland Security is still leading the case instead of leaving it to local authorities. It's being treated as a national-level investigation now, and that's not all. The more they dig, the more names start popping up, and not just from the music world. Sources claim that several political figures and international business leaders have already been quietly questioned about their connections to Diddy's parties and private events. Former prosecutor Nima Romani wasn't lying when he warned that world leaders and royalty could be exposed if this continues. That's the level of chaos this story has reached. It's gone beyond hip-hop, beyond celebrity gossip. This is global now. What's even crazier is how Diddy's old allies are handling the mess. Jay-Z's lawyers are locked in their own legal war, and even Jennifer Lopez's name keeps showing up in filings she never wanted to see again. People online are questioning who knew what and when. Fans are saying, if she saw that tape back in the day, why didn't she speak up? While others believe she might have been trapped in her own kind of fear back then. Either way, J-Lo's silence is now part of the conversation, and that's bad news for her clean Hollywood image. The industry is whispering that this could be the biggest fall from grace since Epstein, maybe even bigger. Because unlike Epstein, Diddy's world was full of artists, stars, and billion-dollar brands. He wasn't just rich, he was influential. His name opened doors, launched careers, and shaped hip-hop culture for decades. Now those same doors are slamming shut one by one. Labels are distancing, sponsors are pulling out, and everyone's waiting to see if the empire completely collapses. Inside his cell, Diddy's reportedly trying to keep himself from falling apart. He spends hours meditating, barely talks to anyone, and sometimes just stares at the wall. Guards say he's not the same man who came in. He's quieter, more withdrawn, and almost paranoid. But who wouldn't be? Every time a guard walks by, every sound at night, he thinks it's another setup. The fear, the guilt, the pressure, it's eating him alive. And that's where things stand right now. Diddy's legacy, the music, the fame, the power, all overshadowed by a storm of accusations, lawsuits, and betrayal. What was once the dream life of a music mogul is now a nightmare that just keeps getting darker. No one knows if he'll break down completely, strike a deal, or drag others down with him, but one thing's for sure. The story's far from over, because every day, new details drop, new voices speak out, and the walls around Diddy keep closing in tighter. His era of control is done, and for the first time, he's facing the one thing money and fame can't protect him from, the truth.